Hey everyone, welcome back to Software Testing Mentor and RCV Academy. Today we are here with Ramya Shri, who is having 3+ years of experience in software testing. And currently she is working as senior test engineer in one of the companies in Hyderabad, India. And today we'll be conducting the mock interview for Ramya Shri, and the focus will be a bit of advanced questions into software testing, which will be relevant for 3 to 4 years of experience in software testing. So let's welcome Ramya. Welcome, Ramya Shri. All right. So Ramya, before we get started, I would like to mention that this video is getting recorded and it will be posted on the YouTube channel for other viewers to view and learn the interview process. Are you fine with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
All right, excellent. So that's great, Ramya. So let's get started straight away. Can you please tell me something about yourself and your professional background?
I'm Ramya Sri Sahiti. You can call me Ramya. I'm working as a senior test engineer at Microsoft Hyderabad. I'm having 3+ years of experience as a tester. Currently, I'm working on a banking project, loan management system. And I have dealt with requirement discussions and change discussions in this project. Also have given some inputs for test planning and prepared all the test documents also, like checklist preparation, test cases and scenarios. Also had done all types of testing, test execution, bug report preparations, and also given inputs for test summary reports.
Absolutely cool. So that's great, Ramya. You have covered all the points that you should be as part of, because you are anyways, like, you are software testing professional, you are applying for software testing job. So you have covered all the key things that you are doing as part of your current project. Just a bit of suggestion there. If you watch my previous videos, you will get to know the pattern, how you need to tackle this question. So you have covered a lot there. Just include why you want to be part of this particular role. I know this is a mock interview, but if you are going for a real interview, explore a little bit about the role, and then along with what you have told me now, add something, why you are good fit for that particular role. Okay, so that will be very, very good addition to that. All right, so let's move on straight away to the questions. So I have gone through your resume and all the points that you have mentioned, all the projects that you have done till now, and all the questions that I'll be asking will be the real scenarios based on the work that you have done. All right, so let's start with the first question. Why do you need to do regression testing and why it is important?
Yeah, generally, once after we get the fixes, there might be some impacts because of the code changes we have done previously on the other parts of the application, not that part alone, on the other parts of the application. So we need to run a regression to check if other parts are being affected or not. Otherwise, generally a software application will be interlinked sometimes. So an error or code change in one part of the application might affect the other part. So for that reason, we run a regression.
Absolutely. And what could be the scenarios like? So you told that there is a fix, there might be a defect and there is a fix for that. So in that scenario, you run a regression, right? What could be some other scenarios?
If there are any code changes, like any new requirement can be given or the same requirement can be updated. So because of that also, there will be impacts on the other parts of the application. And sometimes we need to remove out some of the requirements or some of the functionalities can be removed, right, depending upon the client's needs.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah. So absolutely correct answer. Defect fixes any code change. So any code change is important, be it because of the removal of the requirement or removal of the functionality, addition of the functionality, performance improvement, optimization, code refactoring, right? So anything could be anything which is touching the code changes, requires a regression testing. So that's absolutely correct answer. No issues, Ramya, on that. And your understanding about that is absolutely fine. Just to add a little bit, I want to get a more understanding. So when there is a addition of a new functionality, right? Or say, for example, there is a defect that has been fixed, not addition of the functionality. Defect has been fixed. How did you analyze and came up with the regression test cases or regression suite that needs to be run after that defect fix? What approach did you took?
Actually, before starting testing, we already have some knowledge about clear understanding about the requirements and the flow of the application.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get a basic idea of what, and we also prepare a checklist also. So
Mm-hmm.
basing on all these things, we have an idea like what will be the impacted areas. So we first identify those impacted areas,
Mm-hmm.
and generally we pull some of the test cases from the test suite we have already prepared. And if
Right.
necessary, sometimes we also write some extra test cases and we prepare a test suite separately for regression. And then based on that, we run the regression.
Absolutely. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Great. All right, let's move on. I don't have any inputs as part of that answer. You are absolutely correct. You had the understanding. You go through the existing modules. You know the changes, where the changes are being made, and how those modules are interconnected, and which modules might get impacted, right? So it requires a bit of analysis, which you have already covered, right? And then that's how you come up with the test cases. You might write new test cases. So absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. You have mentioned in your resume that you have enhanced the test scripts, you have modified, you have created, you have enhanced the test cases, right? So why is enhancing, updating, or adding the new test scripts in software testing very important? Why is it important? And which testing principle does it relate to? So why is enhancing the script important? First part. Then there are some testing principles. So which testing principle it fulfills?
Yeah, enhancement is really important in the testing, because a same application or the same test cases wouldn't work for everything. Even though it works, it doesn't give 100% result for that. So
Mhm.
always we need to keep updating our test cases. Might be if any new requirements, how in a better way we can test the application. So
Mhm.
all these things requires the enhancement. And coming to the principles, we can say that pesticide paradox, we can say, like
Mhm.
the same test case suit cannot be used repeatedly. Obviously, its
Right.
effect will be reduced. So I
Right.
think
Yeah.
enhancement will definitely help in a better
Absolutely.
testing.
Absolutely spot on. Yes. Yes. So pesticide paradox. Yes. So that's that's a great answer, Ramya. I mean, that's what I was thinking to listen, that you actually, even though you are in the industry for 3+ years, you still remember all those basic principles, which is what you should never forget, right? Because if you understand the principles and why you are doing testing the way you are doing in your project, that really helps in long run. I'm pretty sure it will really help you a lot. So absolutely spot on. I wasn't expecting that you will be able to correlate that pesticide paradox thing with this thing, but absolutely spot on. Um, and you have also mentioned about the updating, adding new test cases, because same test cases won't be effective over the period of time, right? So due to new additions, or you have to walk through those test cases again to see whether they are still relevant in order to find the defects, right? So absolutely fantastic answer. Cool. So let's move on to the next one. So what is the importance of test reporting, and how did you report the progress in your project to the stakeholders? So basically, you have mentioned that you have also done test reporting for your project to the stakeholders. So first, why is it important, and how did you do it?
So test reporting is important because agile is generally very transparent. So even stakeholders and our seniors should know what exactly we are doing and how far we have covered, so
Mm-hmm.
that they can give any suggestions, like if we are missing some of the areas, they can tell us about that.
Mm-hmm.
So we always do this test reporting, and we mention like what is the scope we have covered and what's the main objective we have covered here, and what are the defects we have raised. Everything will be mentioned in this test report.
Right.
Stake Connecting to the stakeholders, I directly had never given any reports to stakeholders. Generally,
Mm-hmm.
our lead takes that task, but we
Mm-hmm.
have prepared these reports.
Right. So you usually, prepare all the report and then your lead
Yeah,
communicates that report
yeah.
with the stakeholders.
Not always. Sometimes I have to prepare these reports.
Right. Yeah. So what were the, key things that you have included in the report when you prepared? Just a couple of like 1, 2 points, the key points that you have.
I include the scope and the approaches we have used and the number of test cases we have written and the pass percentage of the test cases,
Mm-hmm.
bugs, any open bugs are left, and the
Mm-hmm.
reasons for those open bugs.
Right.
Yeah, all these things I covered.
And in approaches, you mentioned approach as well. So what did you mention in the approach? Any examples?
Uh, Approach in a sense, generally this approaches, these are not given to the stakeholders, but in personally for the reviews within the team. We
Mm-hmm.
mentioned like we have used these kind of techniques, like we have many techniques, boundary value analysis and all.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I mentioned few of them, like
Mm-hmm.
for these test cases.
Right. But they are generally not sent to the stakeholders. They are not part of
Yeah, they
the.
are not. mm.
Absolutely. Yeah. They are for your
The
internal
final copy
reference.
will be given to the stakeholders by our TL. We prepare all these things and we
Yes.
will.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So like good points there. You have the test case summary, pass, fail, defect summary, what is open, etc. So that's absolutely important in the test summary report. Another question: why is it important to provide test summary report?
Yeah, generally these reports are important because even the people should know what we are actually covering.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are the things we have covered, and what are there any things left over?
Mm-hmm.
So we should make sure that we have no defect from our side. We have no defect from our side. Like we have covered everything in this report. So these are the things we have covered.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in order to just to give a good clarification about the testing procedure, what we have followed, the right procedure we have followed, and what are the areas we have covered, to know all these things to prepare the test summary reports.
Right. Yeah. So just to add, I mean, there is nothing wrong in your answer. You have covered most of the good aspects of test summary report and why. You can add a couple of things like these reports help the stakeholders to track how the testing is progressing and the overall quality, right? Because your summary report, if there are 50 defects that you have reported and they are like 20 open, that clearly shows that the quality of the build that is coming is not really good and there is still outstanding. So it helps stakeholders to track the overall quality, how things are progressing in the team first thing, and then how overall quality is there for the project, right? So that's the relevance of it. And then it also helps them to decide go no go decision, whether they want to go into the production or they don't want to go to the production based on the details that you provide in the summary reports. It's just a couple of extra points, and there are so many things that you can add, right? But just whatever you are adding along with that, just little bit more key points will be really fantastic for your answer, right? But whatever you have mentioned is absolutely correct. Okay, right, let's move on. So another important thing, you have worked on all the life cycles, I can see from your resume. So I want to understand, why is a bug life cycle, right? Why is a bug life cycle important, and why do we need it in the software development?
Yeah, a bug life cycle is important because we should track the bug. So in order to track the bug, it's very important. A bug life cycle is important. Like as we know, we have different stages in the bug life cycle. So
Mm-hmm.
we will always be in progress. Like we'll be checking that where exactly the bug is. Is it in a closed state? If it is in a closed state, if we have given closed, then people should understand that yes, this a bug has been raised and it has been fixed, and then it is closed. People
Right.
should know that because of life cycle. If it is in a fixed state, people will understand that yeah, it is given a fix, but it is not retested again. So it is still has some procedure left to do with that bug. So we should understand where exactly the bug is and is it completely closed or not. Sometimes
Absolutely.
even it is in a reopened state, then we have an idea that the bug has been fixed, but still the bug is reproduced. So again, it has gone for refixing state. So in order to know exactly where we are in the bug is, we need this bug life cycle.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. So that's absolutely correct. Add one thing around. So any life cycle, if somebody asks you any life cycle question, just add something that life cycles ensure that the process is standardized, right, across until in your project, right? It's a standard process that everyone in the team has to follow, and it has different states that you have already mentioned, right? So just add that standardized states or standardized process to the question, and it is applicable to software testing lifecycle or development lifecycle or bug lifecycle. And these life cycles can be customized based on the project's requirement, right? So maybe for us, a project A, a bug lifecycle might not have all the states that you might require for a project B, right? Context dependent. So, but your answer is absolutely correct that you have different states. You want to track where the progress of the issues is or the defects is, where those issues are, how many of them have been closed. So it helps in all of those things. So that's absolutely fine. You have already covered the states in the defect, but still I'll ask this question. Briefly, can you explain different states that you have used in your project bug lifecycle that are there, and you have used those and what they mean?
Yeah, generally, first we raise a bug in a new state from the tester side. Then it will go over for a review by our team lead. Then the developer will check for a valid or invalid bug. If it is a valid bug, he would take into consideration and he'll work on that in a in progress state. Then the bug will be in the in progress state. Then he'll give the fix in a fixed state. The bug will be in fixed state after giving the fix. Then we again do some retesting on that. Then we'll close the bug in the closed state. If the bug is again repeating, then we have to reopen the bug, and then it will be in the reopen state. Sometimes there might be invalid bugs also, like it can be a default bug, duplicate bug or a deferred bug. A duplicate bug is nothing but it might be already raised by someone else in the team. That we can say it is a repeated bug. It's a duplicate bug. And deferred bug is it's a bug, but it doesn't affect the application much. In case it is not affecting the application much and there's no time for the developer to fix it, then we leave the fix of that bug for the next release. So in such cases, we call that bug as a deferred bug. So these are the stages in bug.
Right. Yeah. So you have covered almost, like all of the statuses, and I think you have used all of those in your project. So absolutely fantastic. I do not need to add any of the points there because all of the points that you have covered, the statuses, is absolutely correct. Just to add something on top of it, another question. Have you been involved in the defect triage meetings?
Sorry, defect triage meeting.
Defect triage.
Sorry, no.
Okay. So defect. So you haven't heard about defect triage meetings? No. Okay. So maybe your lead would have been getting involved into that. So after defects are being raised, they are analyzed. They are being discussed within the team, whether they are, what exactly is the defect, what it is impacting, and then they discuss whether they need to be deferred or they need to be, taken up and fixed in the upcoming release and cycle. So it's sort of that short meeting, and usually not everyone in the team is involved. So maybe that's why you are not aware.
Developers are mostly involved in that to decide whether it's a deferred.
Right. So maybe like your lead would be doing that. So maybe that's why you're not being involved, and that's absolutely fine. But just go ahead and read a little bit about the defect triage meeting, what exactly they are. All right. But that's totally acceptable. If you haven't, because you haven't mentioned anywhere defect triage, I just asked that if you're aware of it. Okay. But yeah, let's go ahead and let's move to the next question. So you have mentioned about one of the project, the recent project, the last project I'll take. So can you just give me an example of, you have this some loan management system that you have worked on. Can you give me module that you have worked in that particular project and some of the scenarios that you have written for that particular module? There are many modules that you have written as part of that system. Just pick one module and some test scenarios that you have written as part of that module.
You can say the application, we actually, after receiving the application, we check for the basic eligibility criteria here for the applicant. So if we consider that one, I can say some scenarios like we check whether he's having a account in the bank or not. But that's the basic scenario we first check. And if yes, he's having an account, then we also have some scenarios like what's his annual income. Annual income, we have some limits for that. It should be greater than this or less than this. We have some limits for that. Small business logic is done there. And we check for that. And we also check for the collaterals also. Like actually, this collaterals depends upon what type of loan he is applying for. Yeah, we also check for the collaterals also, like how many collaterals he is showing, the worth of the collaterals he's giving.
Yeah.
And that scenario, and his age limit scenario also. What is his age? And age should be like not more than 60, and it should not be less than 22 or something. And next, we also check for the tenure left, his in his working tenure left. Number of years, it should not be like it should not be less than 5 years. Yeah,
Great.
these are some of the scenarios I can cover.
Yeah, great. So absolutely, yeah, I think you have covered so many scenarios, and you have covered all the work that you have done as part of, I mean, not all but you have covered the key aspects that any interviewer would expect as part of any of the modules. If you would have tested, you will be able to answer these questions, which you have absolutely been able to answer. So great scenarios that you have covered there. And you have covered the real, like the scenarios that you have actually done, so which is fantastic. So let's move on. You have mentioned about the collaboration you have done, you collaborate with the developers and teams. So why is a collaboration with teams, with team, basically everyone in the team, like developers, business analysts, project manager, testers, why is it important factor in the project success?
Team collaboration is really important, not only for this project, for any task to be completed successfully. Team collaboration should be important, because after everything, we are building this software as a team. Without a team, we can't complete it. So here we mainly discuss about generally developers, we generally discuss about the requirements. Generally, in some bug issues, we had to communicate a lot. Sometimes there will be some misunderstanding in the requirements. Generally, we cover it in the team meetings also. Like there might be some misunderstanding, like we might understand that as functionality, and they might say, no, it is a bug, some misunderstanding. So in order to avoid all these things, we communicate directly with the developers. And also, to say personally, like they also tell us how much time would they really take to give the bug fixes, so that we can take up the next task, or we need to wait, or we need to run an ad hoc if there is no sufficient time. So giving a small clarity about the bug fixes also is helpful for us to continue with our work. So main thing I can say, requirement discussion would be more clear if we discuss with more number of people.
Absolutely. Yeah. So everything, it is more of a generic collaboration level question, and you have covered it very well as part of your role in the team and why collaboration is important. There are many points. If you just Google around the collaboration, it improves the team bonding. It improves the learning within the team. Just a couple of more points would be great to enhance your answer, right? It increases the efficiency, right? You can mention, like, if we collaborate, or if we just drop an email that this is the defect, or if we log the defect into a tool and assign it to a developer without discussing, just by reading the defect, many things are not clear. If you just go for 2 minutes to a developer and have a discussion, it's a totally different dynamics overall. You have explained the details, and developers understand that, right? And then and there they will be able to accept. If everything goes through email, it delays things a lot, right? So overall, team bonding is good. Team learning overall, everyone when collaborates learns from each other, right? So it aligns everyone, people are learning from each other. So all of these things you can add, but whatever you have given the answer, along with that, just enhance it a little bit, right? But your answer is absolutely correct around collaboration. This is a general question that you might get asked around collaboration, because you have mentioned in your resume about team building and collaboration things. Okay. All right. Let's move on. Another question based on your resume point, based on the responsibilities. You have mentioned that you have analyzed the requirements and prepared the test checklist covering all the possible scenarios and prepared the documentation for the same. So which document was it? And can you elaborate a little bit on this document?
I mean, it's a document in the regular test suite. The documents here is the regular test suite.
Mm-hmm.
After the requirement discussions is done, we first prepare a checklist of that.
Mm-hmm.
Understanding the flow. According to the flow, we prepare the checklist. Like in that particular flow only, we prepare the checklist, not randomly. And from that, we prepare the test cases. And then test scenarios, test cases, along with the test data given in the test cases also. So these are the documents I have prepared.
Right. Okay. So this, have you heard of requirement traceability matrix? Did you work on any of that document?
I haven't worked because our company, right from the beginning, they were following this checklist only. But yeah,
Right.
I know the purpose of RTM, but I haven't worked with that.
So I think this checklist is doing the same purpose as the RTM.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So basically they call it checklist, but it's actually, sort of you are mapping the requirements based on, or mapping the test cases to the requirement and seeing that the coverage is basically proper, and then mapping the defects to the test cases, whichever fail. So it's sort of different name to the same thing, right? It's the purpose is same. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So that's what I wanted to check and listen, that yes, it is a checklist, but you are using it for the same purpose. That's great. Yeah. So let's move to the next question. In your project, same one, loan management. Who used to assign the severity and priority to the defects that your team members, or not team members, let's say you raised a defect, who used to assign severity and priority to those defects?
Generally, we only give the severity and priorities also. For a normal cases, if it is like we are confused or something, then we go to the TL. Generally, we already, after we raise the bug, we have a review. So in that review, if any modifications to be done or any severity to be increased, our TL will take lead of that.
Sure. Okay. So was there a case wherein business was involved, or any product owner, any person was involved to assign the priority? So it was just your team lead who will assign the priority?
So it's actually our team lead.
Right. Okay. Okay. Great. Yeah, I think it's totally acceptable. It works. I mean, it depends on your project and how the project is being handled. So bookish knowledge is different, right? So in the books, you will see that severity is by the testers and priority is by the business, which is followed at many places. But many places, when the product owners or the business people who want to define the priority, they just hand over that responsibility to the team lead or the person who is managing the overall testing. So they can decide the priority as well along with the severity, right? So that's absolutely correct. In the real scenarios, it can be either ways. Okay, so absolutely
Actually, in our project, the BA only comes while the demo sessions are done.
Okay.
So he's not much involved into all this assigning the. Of course, he'll have an idea where how the project is going on and everything. We generally have a talks in between, but deciding all this priority and severity. In my last 3 years, I have never seen a BA involved in this.
Right. Yeah. And same with me. I mean, same with me. That's why I'm saying, right? So it's very project dependent. So many places people say that priority business will come and decide the priority. It doesn't happen like that in the real, scenarios. In the project, severity and priority we assign, and then business can change it if they feel, yeah, like, let's change it, or this looks like high priority. So and that is driven by the severity of the defect. So Absolutely correct. No issues with that. In our project, we follow the same approach. Okay. So you have mentioned that you have worked in Scrum, Agile, right? So what are the roles in Scrum?
Roles, we have a Scrum Master, we have a Scrum Team actually, which includes Scrum Master, testers, and developers, and both the TLs of the development team and testing team. So these are the roles and BA is also involved.
Right. So have you heard of, like any three key roles in Scrum team? So there is a Scrum team, which a small team wherein you have all the people working together. So there are three key roles. So you have mentioned about Scrum Master. You have mentioned about the development team. Is there any other role that you are aware of?
Testers and BA, that's it.
Right. Okay. So mainly the Scrum team consists of Scrum Master, product owner, and the development team. Right. And development team can be, anyone within the team, testers, BAs, anyone who is building the product. Okay, it doesn't matter is an architect or tester or developer. So anyone who is building the team is part of the development team, right? So product owner, developers, and Scrum Master, these are the three key roles that are there. And now within these roles, so there'll be one product owner, one Scrum Master, and the developers can have multiple testers, developers accordingly, right? So that's just key thing. And if you go to scrum.org, yeah, go ahead.
Actually, our BA is our PO, so we just use BA in the term we use
Right.
BA.
Right. Yeah. So your BA is acting as a, like a product owner and also guiding you around so that's absolutely fine. Yes. But if you go to scrum.org, when somebody asks, the three roles, if you read that, there is a Scrum guide. So you will, and it's very small, like 50, 16, 17 pages guide, and you will know all about the Scrum, right? So latest version is available. So just go through, read it. And sometimes you are actually working in the Scrum, but um, and you know how things are practically used, but then it's good to know what has been defined as part of those rules when we say rules of Scrum, right? So that's where these things will help you. Okay, let's move on. So you have also done a demo, right, for the product you have, or you have either done it or you have basically mentioned they have demoed or showcased the product or helped there. So what exactly is the demo or showcase?
It is like after we completed some part of the application, when there is any release, then we give a demo to the BA, like the application, how the application goes on, and what are the areas we have covered, and what are the different aspects might a user might use it. Different aspects a user can use this application. We give all these things in a demo. So once after it is fine, then the BA gives the approval. Only then it goes for the release. And the BA also discusses about this with the client also. Sometimes client might be present, or sometimes the BA only personally discusses. If it is a big version we are releasing, then we have a client also here involved. So we give this demo about the flow of the application, like how a user might use this, and we have tested all these areas here. So this is a kind of a small demo session we used to have in our organization before the
Absolutely.
release.
Right. Great. Yeah. So that's, and in the demo, you actually show the actual functionality that has been built, right? Yeah. Great. So yeah, I mean, showcase, demo, or sprint review, like, right? So sprint 2 to 4 week cycles that you might be following. So you call it sprint review. All of these are like same. So you have the project people, so your team and your client might be there, and if required, and you show that what has been built, or what was the business value that has been built as part of that sprint, right? So it's not showing the high-end technical details. It's basically, if you have implemented, your team has implemented something as part of that sprint, what is the business outcome, right? Because every sprint will have the sprint goal, and that sprint goal is not the technical outcome, it's the business outcome, basically, as by the end of this sprint, what business value I'm going to deliver, right? So all of that is being showcased and discussed. Feedback is being taken, right? So which you have already covered. So great. And Ramya, I just want to mention that your answer shows that you have actually experienced and you have experienced things in detail at your workplace, and you know how things have been used in your workplace. So which is absolutely fantastic. I'm very, very happy about the answers that you have given. Before I proceed with the next one, right? Which is basically the last one is the question around the change. Why are you looking for the change?
Actually, I wanted to change my environment also. Like currently, my project is almost like it's coming to an end. Just small maintenance works are being done before
Mm-hmm.
just going to the live. I'm handling the maintenance section also. So I wanted to change my domain also so that to get a good, you know, exposure in this industry. So
Mm-hmm.
working in different organizations will also give us good exposure. So I wanted to change this project.
Great.
So
Yes.
overall, I can say my project is almost like in the end. And one more thing is I wanted to explore more in other organizations also.
Right.
So a
Yes.
change definitely gives us extra knowledge and extra mile to us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So great answer. Just add couple of like words like better career opportunities, professional growth, better work opportunities, which you have mentioned already, right? You are looking for better work opportunities, and then you have mentioned that your project is about to get finished, which is very reasonable and honest answer. If I'm the hiring person, I won't bother about it, like your project is getting over, but and then you do not have anything else in the project. So some people as an interviewer might cross question, so if your project is getting over, wouldn't you be placed into another project? That question might come to you if you tell that this project is getting over, and then so how will
Yeah,
you
actually,
tackle that?
actually, I have a reason for that. Also, we're having other projects also, but from last 6 months, I have been in this maintenance project. They
Mm-hmm.
want me to handle this, complete this maintenance also. Since you are right from the beginning in the project, there were so many team changes during this project. So
Mm-hmm.
I was the person who was right there from the beginning in this project. So they wanted me to complete the maintenance part also. But I feel like wanted to change.
Right. Okay. So just just stick to couple of good points there, like better career opportunities, professional growth. Whenever you're answering, if there is a something like cross question, you should not just get stuck with those cross questions. So it's better to be like provide the safe answer and change in the career direction, or I want to get new challenges, right? So I have learned a lot in my current organization. Never ever say that you are changing for any reason, like your manager is not good or your organization is not supportive. These are some negative reasons, so avoid those. But in the positive reasons, um, never get a reason which you might get stuck, right? And Google is the best answer, right? If you just go through, search for this question, get a couple of points, and then do not just blindly take those points. Analyze which ones fit best for you. What is your reason to move on, right? And then um, provide those points with the facts why you want to move. And you have provided, like the first thing that you have mentioned is you want to get better career opportunities, professional growth, right? So all of these things you just mentioned, and absolutely, that there won't be any issues. So I think that's pretty much it, Ramya. I'm pretty impressed with the answers that you have given, and it has been a really, I've just grilled through your resume, everything, every line, and whatever questions have been asked, these are right then and there from your resume. So and you have answered, I would say, like 90% plus answers correctly, so which is absolutely fantastic. So any questions before we proceed to the feedback? All right, so in terms of feedback, Ramya, your resume is good. Okay, you have made it well. The knowledge that you have shown in this mock interview doesn't correctly reflect in your resume. You have a good knowledge, but your resume shows very limited part of it. That's what I see, right? So whatever you know, right, try to make resume which basically is not very, sort of a generic thing, because you know a lot of stuff. So why not put it in the resume? Because resume is the first interface that gets you shortlisted. Okay, so why not put the details that you already know, the like Scrum, you know the Scrum, you know how things work in Agile. So put a little bit details around that, just a couple of more pointers, so that will improve your resume. First thing. Okay, second thing, your interview overall fantastic. If I would have to hire you, you would have been definitely to second round. Okay, no questions on that. Your understanding about all the concepts of testing, as like you're just like 3 years in testing, right? But you have been hands on, and the answers that you have given shows your hands on expertise, right? It's the answers do not show that you have just read a book and came to an interview. Okay, so that's absolutely fantastic. And in terms of improvement, I think I have already covered as part of those questions things that you need to improve a little bit. But those are, just sort of things that you can refine yourself more, so your chances of getting selected become very, very high. But with this preparation that you have at the moment, you are in very, very good position. So I'm hoping that you will be very soon at very, very good place. All right, any more questions? All right, cool. So thanks Ramya for joining me today, and it was absolute pleasure talking to you.
Thank you for giving this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramya. Have a nice day.